Hey guys, we are going to be doing a video, I have not done in a while, and I'm going to be putting on my current favorites from Sephora. I just haven't done a video like this in a really long time, and so much of my makeup that I focus on or that I feature in my videos are not available at Sephora, and I personally love shopping at Sephora. They ship very quickly to me. I have actually brick and mortar stores here that I can return things to or try stuff out. They're always very helpful. So anyway, I was like, let me focus on Sephora. I haven't done that in a long time. So that's what we're doing today. And I think a lot of these are, you're gonna predict. You should just get out your pen and paper and be like, I know what she's gonna say for foundation. I know what she's gonna say for concealer. So yeah, but I think some of these may be surprises for you too. So we're gonna start with foundation. And this has really just won my heart over the past, I guess, year is when I started using this. But this is the Dr. Jart Premium Beauty Balm SPF 40. And this is just the one that I reach for. I mean, it's disgusting. So that just goes to show you how much I've been using this. This is just the one that I reach for, the one that I go to, the one that I bring with me to travel. The cap is actually cracked. That's how much I've been putting it on and taking it off. But it's a great shade for me, and the shade that I use is Fair Light, which is the lightest shade that they have. I believe they have 4 shades in total. I could be wrong, 4 or 5. Anyway, of course, I'll link to everything down below in my description box, and I'll also have like a little button, the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, where you'll be able to shop for products directly. But anyway, that doesn't matter. What matters is that I love, love, love this beauty balm. It is a tinted moisturizer. It contains SPF, and every time I put it on, I feel like, oh, did I get tanner? Like, what's going on? Because it always feels like it's a little bit too light and too gray for my skin tone, but it just melds right in. And then all of a sudden, I look up and it is the perfect shade for me. And do you see how subtle that perfection is? How smooth my skin looks? But I don't look like I have a lot of coverage on. It almost doesn't even look like I have any sort of base product on. It's just, the effect is so subtle, but it's so effective. So yeah, I've just been loving it. Really, really loving it. And when I just squirted this out, I heard that little squirt of death where, there's like air in there and it sounds like it's running out. But it's hard to tell because this is a hard bottle. It's not like a squeezy tube and it's got this pump top. Anyway, I absolutely love this. And I remember giving a deeper shade to my assistant and she put it on and she was like, what is this? She's like, my skin has never looked better. I'm like, there's something about this. It is really magical. So that is my favorite foundation that is available at Sephora. So concealer. Now, this was really, really hard. Let me talk about the one that basically came in second place. So the Dior Forever Skin Correct Concealer. Now, you guys know that that has been my all-time favorite for a very, very long time. The Surratt Dewdrop Concealer just knocked it out of first place. It is now in second place for me. However, when I thought to myself, what product is my absolute favorite concealer product, I had to go with this one only because it's just a little bit more versatile. And I thought, if I had to pick one concealer to get, it would be this one. This is the Makeup Forever HD Skin Face Sculpting Palette. And I have raved about this as well. But you can use it as concealer, you can use it as foundation. So it's just a lot more versatile than the Dior. It's got all these different shades. There's 12 products in here. There's sculpting, there's highlighting. But in terms of concealer, these 4 right here are just incredible. I love the texture. I love the coverage. They work beautifully with a finger, with a brush, like all the things. So I'm gonna apply, or what I like to do is put a little bit of the lightest shade down, which is way too light for my skin tone. And then I just add one of these shades on top. And I literally just, I guess you could say, mix it right on my face, and it works beautifully. So I'm just gonna grab my Sephora Pro Concealer brush. This is probably the only Sephora brush that I have. So from here on out, most of the brushes that I'm gonna be using, unfortunately, are probably not available at Sephora, but anyway, I'm gonna be using this one, and I'm gonna go into that light shade and just place it in the darkest areas underneath my eyes. You can see it's like way too pale for my skin tone, but I'm gonna start there. And I know this seems a little extra and it's like, well, why don't you just use a shade that works for your skin tone or mixture? But there's something about adding this light shade down that kind of like blocks any deepness that I have underneath my eyes, almost like a corrector. And then I go in with, which one have I been using? I think this one has been the one that I'm using underneath my eyes. So I'm gonna pick that up just a little bit and I'm going to add it right on top of that lighter shade. Just all blends out and together like beautifully. Doesn't that look so seamless? Oh my God, I freaking love this palette. And I love doing this combo underneath my eyes. It just makes them look brightened without it being like too obvious, you know, when you just straight up use like a lighter concealer. I feel like sometimes it just looks a little obvious. This is so much more subtle. So there, this palette is my concealer pick from Sephora. As for powder, the Say Air Set, I think that's the full name, Air Set Radiant Loose Setting Powder. I use the shade Translucent. I love this powder. It really reminds me of probably my all-time favorite powder, which is not available at Sephora, which is the Kogen Do Natural Lighting Powder. This is very similar, very similar because it leaves the most subtle kind of satin sheen to my skin. Nothing shiny or anything like that, but it's like a softness, which is so nice when you have dry skin like I do. So, you know, I just really shy away from powders that are just too drying. I don't like it. They age me, they dry out my skin even further. So not a fan. This powder does not do that. It's just absolutely incredible. So I'm just going to pounce a little bit on. And voila, do you see that like kind of soft glow that it leaves on my skin? I love it. I love this powder. So that's the Say Air Set Radiant Loose Translucent Powder. All right, let's talk about contour. This is definitely gonna come as no surprise, but the Westman Atelier Face Trace Contour Stick in Biscuit. I love it. I just love how cool toned this product is without being just a really stark kind of gray. It's not that scary. So I'm just going to draw a little bit here, and it does work great over powder. I don't feel like this is a cream product where you have to worry too much, but I wouldn't go in and like blend this out by rubbing it too hard. So I would definitely kind of like pat. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this BK Beauty 109 brush, which is like a mini version of their 101 foundation brush. And this is just so great for cream products. So I'm just going to dab to blend out. Of course, you can always use your finger. I am just a brush gal. Blends out like a dream. Look at that. Instant cheekbones. Beautiful. So that is the Westman Atelier Face Trace Contour Stick. Blends out beautifully. I love the tone of it. If you have a similar skin tone to me, Biscuit is gonna work beautifully. I like the fact that it's in a stick form because you can actually like draw it on your face. It's just a lot easier than a lot of other like forms that that a cream contour can come in. So I really like that it's in stick form too. Okay, what is next? Bronzer. Oh, this is an oldie but a goodie. If you guys have been with me for any length of time, you knew this was coming. The Tom Ford Soleil Glow Bronzer in number 2 Terra. This is the only bronzer that is, I believe that's like left in the Tom Ford line. Is that possible? At least that's what I saw on Sephora. Anyway, when I went to look this up on Sephora, I was surprised this was still there because, you know, Tom Ford, they love to just discontinue stuff just willy-nilly. But this bronzer is so good. I love the texture of it. I love the Terra shade, the, because this is number 2. Shade number 1, oh my gosh. I'm like sweeping away the cobwebs in my brain. I think it was called Gold Dust. Is that right? I think it was Gold Dust. Anyway, that was a warmer shade. This one is a little bit more neutral, and it just works beautifully on my skin tone as a bronzer. This powder is very soft. You definitely want to be careful when picking it up. And I do think they finally got the formula right. The first time they came out with this bronzer, it was just kind of a pressed powder, nothing terribly special. I think what everyone loved about that bronzer was the packaging. It came in the giant white, compact. It was so glamorous looking. And then their second iteration of this bronzer was not great. It was baked and it was so hard to pick up, and then you got hard pan. It just wasn't well thought out. This one is great. It's a little bit soft, like I said, but you just have to be careful in terms of picking it up, and you just want to use a light hand. So I'm going to use the BK Beauty 104 brush, and I'm just going to take my own advice and pick up just a little bit. And I'm going to start my forehead, down my nose, do the freckle zone, which I think really gives you a nice natural flushed bronze look when you apply bronzer there. And maybe just add a little bit more to the forehead, just to really make it look like I got back from vacation or something. This is still so, so good. So that's the Tom Ford Glow Bronzer in number 2, Terra. And for blush, this was definitely towards the top of my list, but I did realize that so many of my favorite blushes are actually not available at Sephora. So anyway, this one is the one that won out at Sephora. This is the Dior Rosy Glow blush in one of the newer shades. This is in 012 Rosewood. This came out back in May, and I was lucky enough to be in New York when they were released, and they actually had them in store. Like, that never happens here in Las Vegas. Like, anything new is always online first, and then maybe the store gets it the same day as the online stores, but never is it before. And in New York, sometimes it happens before. So anyway, I was lucky enough to be there. So this is my current favorite blush at Sephora. There's just something really lovely about the formula. There's something very creamy. I mean, it's a powder product, but there's something very creamy about it, but also translucent. So you get this like this really soft kind of application of this blush. It's very, very subtle, and it definitely is something I feel like you would know if you used it. It's very hard to like show, but anyway, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna use the BK Beauty 106 brush. Picks up the product fairly easily, and I'm just going to tap right onto the cheeks. And you see how that applies? Just this soft like whisper of color where I don't even feel like I'm blending it out. I feel like I'm just applying the blush. I'm just sort of applying a little bit more every time I go over my cheek. But it's just, I really love the application. It's very, very like blown out as soon as you put it on. It's really special, and it really is. It's just a pressed powder. It doesn't look that special in the pan, but there's something almost creamy about the blush. Yeah, and I just really, really love the way it applies. In fact, this is a blush that I would recommend for beginners. It's almost like mistake proof because it's not overly pigmented, which as we know can be problematic. It is, yeah, just like the perfect amount of pigmentation, and it like auto blends. It's so good. So that's the Rosy Glow blush in Rosewood. Now for highlight, and now that I'm looking at these, I realize I should have applied one as a primer. So these are the Westman Atelier Liquid Super Loaded highlighters. I love using the Pot de Rosé underneath my eyes as a primer, like underneath concealer, underneath foundation. It does such an amazing job. I can't believe I forgot to use it. But anyway, you guys have seen me talk about that and demo that particular technique a few times, at least a few times. So it's okay. But I do love these as highlighters. They're just really great. So I do know the Pot de Pêche is actually sold out on Sephora currently because this is like the mid-tone highlighter. So it's really the most versatile, I guess you could say. But there is also Pot de Soleil, which is the deeper kind of bronzy toned highlighter that, you know, I could probably use as like a bronzer or whatever. But I'm gonna use the Peau de Rosé just because I'm pretty pale and I think it works for me. So the Peau de Pêche is probably, again, like the one that I could use without even thinking. The Peau de Rosé has definitely a cooler toned, like undertone to it. So if I do have a bit of a tan, I do think it sticks out a little bit too much, but I'm pale, guys. I have lost any kind of color that I may have gained over the summer. So after shaking that up, I'm just going to squeeze a bit out onto the back of my hand. And there is the Peau de Rosé. So I'm just gonna tap that right onto my cheek. Do you see that finish? It's that finish. It's like a glossy, not quite wet. I don't think it's as shiny as it being like a wet looking highlight, but it is really glossy. It's very, very slick looking without it actually being slick. I mean, there's a little bit of tack to it, but it's not like wet. It looks a lot wetter than it feels. So that is the Peau de Rosé. It is beautiful. But I will also just quickly swatch the Peau de Soleil and the Peau de Pêche for you. Delightful. Isn't that just gorgeous? Those are the three. So Peau de Rosé, Peau de Pêche, Peau de Soleil. Those are the three shades. Gosh, I love it. I love it. I love it as highlight. I love it as primer, like I was saying. I love mixing just a little bit of it into foundation. The Peau de Soleil is actually great for that. If you want to, let's say you got some tan over the summer and your foundations maybe are looking a little bit pale, you can add like a drop of it into your foundation. It'll deepen it up a little bit. It'll give you a nice, beautiful glow. It's a gorgeous product, and I really, really like the texture of it. As you can see, like they're not thick, but they're also not runny. Yeah, it's just a beautiful combination of properties. Now, as you guys know, I have been really going heavy with the Persona Swipe Up Brow Gel, but that's only available, it's available at Ulta, it's also available in Persona Cosmetics. And then I thought, can I still talk about my Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel? Is that even still around? So I went onto the site. It is not there anymore. What is going on with this Fiber Brow Gel? I feel really out of it because when I fell in love with it, I heard that they were discontinuing it and I freaked out. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And then someone was like, no, they're not discontinuing, they're reformulating. And I was like, why are they doing that? That's ridiculous. It's perfect the way it is. And so it disappeared for a long time. And then it came back and I tried it and I don't know. I just didn't like it as much as the previous version. And it didn't feel like there were as many fibers. Anyway, there's been this weird saga surrounding this Fiber Brow Gel because now it's just gone. It seems like it's just completely disappeared. So I don't know. I don't know what happened with it. But anyway, a brow product that I have long loved. This has definitely appeared in my favorites. It's fallen to the wayside because it's actually a pencil and I've been using brow gels a lot, but I do love this and I did just start using this again. This is the Dior Show Brow Styler Brow Pencil in the shade, where is it? Dark Brown 002. So it's this little itty bitty pencil and it just has this super fine tip that you just roll up. It's got this spoolie on the other side, and there's just something really, I don't know, easy to use with this. I don't know if it's like the shape of the tip. I mean, this isn't exactly, groundbreaking or anything. It's just a really fine tip. Maybe it's the combination of the fine tip and how it is kind of a hard pencil, not super hard, but you're not making like super thick, deep, dark strokes, which is great. Yeah, I just really, really love this particular eye pencil. I just find it easy to use. And then I just brush it out, kind of soften all the lines here, and voila. Yeah, it's just, like I said, it's just really, really easy to use. And I have always sat here looking at it. Every time I'm done using this, I'm like, why is this so easy to use? I really think it is the firmness of the pencil. It's not terribly firm, although I prefer that to a brow pencil that's too soft, that is a disaster. You're just gonna look like Groucho Marx. But this is just, it's really nice. It's just like a little bit softer than the really firm pencils that I generally have opted for. So it just makes, I don't know, maybe it just works faster, but it's just, yeah, it's just a great product. So anyway, that's the Dior Brow Styler. Eyeshadow. Well, this is definitely not gonna come as any surprise. Well, maybe, because I did have to debate between this one and the Glam palette. I opted for this one, well, because it's newer, so it's like the shiny new one, but also this is, in terms of the entire palette, comparing it to the entire palette of the Glam palette, it's a little bit lighter. So it's just, for me, you know, I don't usually do like a lot of deep, smoky, darker evening glam looks. I am more apt to use like just lighter shades. So this is the one. This is my favorite eyeshadow at Sephora currently. So let me grab some eye brushes. All right, I'm gonna start with Mesh. I usually always start with Stone, and I was like, let me try something different. So we're gonna do Mesh, and I've got my Rephr 27 brush, and just applying this to the outer corner and into my socket line area. All right, and then I wanna go into Whisper. I'm gonna do Whisper here. And I've got my Rephr number 1 brush. And I'm gonna start on the inner corner and drag that over. I'm just gonna take the flip side of this brush and go into Travertine and deepen up the outer corner a little bit with that. So next, I'm gonna take my Esom W36 brush. This is one of my favorite Esom brushes. It's part of my brush collection with Esom, which I believe is still available. So I will link that down below in my description box. But I love using this to deepen up my outer corners. So I'm gonna use this with, I think I'm gonna use Filigree. I was gonna use this shade, but it seems like more like a liner shade. And then this just didn't seem deep enough. So maybe I'll go between these two because I don't want it super metallic, you know, if I'm trying to like deepen something up. So I'm gonna go between Filigree and Tender. And lay this down and flick. All right, so that is the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette. No surprises there that this was my pick. Moving on to eyeliner. Actually, let's do mascara first because it's easier for me to apply eyeliner after I've curled my lashes. So I'm just gonna curl my lashes. And this is probably no surprise, but the Lancome Waterproof Lashy Doll Mascara. This is just a great mascara that keeps the curl to my lashes, probably because it's waterproof. And it really is like the Goldilocks of mascaras. It separates my lashes, it makes them look longer, it makes each lash look a little bit thicker, no clumpiness though. The brush is easy to use. It's like banana shaped, it's plastic. Yeah, it's just a great mascara. I was using the non-waterproof version for a very long time, and one of you kind viewers commented, it was actually this past spring during the Sephora VIB sale, and you mentioned, you know, that I should get the waterproof one, and I was like, I should get the waterproof one. So anyway, got that, haven't looked back since. So thank you to you. And yeah, this is definitely, like, look how great my lashes look. It's just a great mascara. Okay, eyeliner, another one that's not gonna be a surprise, the Hourglass Voyeur Waterproof Gel Eyeliner in Cave. Has a really tight cap, and I'm just going to tight line with it. It's just so great. It does not budge. Not one single bit. And I will admit, it takes a little bit to remove at night, but I just think it's so worth it. All right, next up, lip liner. So the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude Lip Crayon. Are any of these surprises really? I love this lip liner. This is the one that I bring with me when I travel. I brought it to Rhode Island when I attended the wedding. I just took this to New York. It was like I don't think I'm gonna be wearing a lot of makeup, but if I do, this is coming with me. So I do love the Natasha Denona lip liners. They're very creamy, but they do set down. And this I Need a Nude color. It's, I think NP1 Natasha, she had a whole range. I really love Julia too. But this one is just really the perfect nude. It's so good. It's so, so good. I just find the shade to be very neutral with just a hint of it being on the cool side. And I love it. It works perfectly. Especially this lipstick pick. So I haven't talked about this lipstick in a while, admittedly. I was looking at my drawer and I'm like, so many of the lipsticks that I have and love and use consistently are not carried at Sephora, like the Victoria Beckham glosses, the Lisa Eldridge glosses, Chanel Rouge Coco Flash, my Chantecaille Lip Veil, my Chantecaille Lip Chic. I'm like, oh my God, like none of these are actually at Sephora, but that's me. There's plenty of amazing options at Sephora. And so when I got to looking and really like honing in on my collection, the Gucci lipstick in the satin finish, I just prefer satin. If you like matte, their matte finish is great as well. And then they have ones, oh gosh, is it sheer? The sheer voile, that is also a really great finish and probably one that I would use more every day. But in terms of like a lipstick, a rock solid kind of lipstick, I love the satin finish lipstick from Gucci. I just happened to pull out Susan Nude, but I love Agatha Orange. They have these really cool tone browns that I love, love, love. But this Susan Nude is definitely on the cooler side in terms of browns. That's probably what I appreciate most about Gucci. They were not afraid to make really cool toned brown shades, because most people, they shy away from it. But look at that brown. That is just straight up brown. So that is Susan Nude. I know this is like such a look, right? But what can I say? I'm a Gen Xer, so this is like really my comfort zone. But I do want to put on Agatha Orange for you because you guys know how much I love like an orange, reddish orange kind of shade. And I haven't worn like a bright lipstick like that in a while. And I just have this hankering too. So I'm going to take this off and we're going to put on Agatha Orange. Voila, Agatha Orange. Is that not the best color ever? It is really, really very orange. Most of the colors in this family that I really love are like a reddish orange, at most kind of like split 50-50 between red and orange. This one is like orange and I love it. I love it. People always ask me if my teeth look yellow with this color on. I don't think so. What do you guys think? I don't think so. I mean, not more than usual. So there you have it. Those are my current favorites from Sephora. And I love the look that I did today. Yeah, I love all of these products. If I may throw one more thing in, because it has really kind of won my heart, and I do know they're available at Sephora now. The Merit, if I may talk about a cream shadow, these Merit Solo Shadows, when I just throw on Studio, which is what I did last night, I just went over to a friend's for dinner and I was like, let me just throw on something. This was so easy to use and it was just this really beautiful like light wash. I just added a little bit of something. It doesn't budge. Like once it sets down, it does not budge. It's just, yeah, I really, really love it. So this is an honorable mention, if I may. All right, guys, that is it. Let me know what some of your current favorites are at Sephora down below in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.